I remember my intro tech teacher those days in junior high. In class one day, he suddenly stopped at the window and gazed at the cloudy sky. His countenance dropped. His eyes were heavy. I thought he was about to cry, but then he shook his head gently and finally broke his silence with a deep sigh. Now, probably constipated by the thoughts buried deep in his stomach, his mouth began to puke them out like bad jelly as he slowly stepped away from the window, with his folded arms resting comfortably on his pot belly. He said, "We had it good in my days, but now things have gone bad. When you go to school those days, you are happy because you can see the big picture. When you graduate from school, you get a job, a house, and a bright future. We had it good in my days," he said, "but now things have gone bad." But all I could hear was the sound of frustration tearing through the words that he spoke, and I was convinced this was just a lamentation coming from a man who was broke. My focus, meanwhile, was on how one day I will be able to afford a tin of milk and a bottle of Coke. You see, as a junior student, my teacher's concerns were a little beyond my scope. 24 years later, as I wrote this poem, I remember his words and I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. Looking back, it appears 97 was paradise compared to what we now see with our naked eyes. But how did we get here? What are we even doing here? While men married in the goodness of yesteryears, did the bug of corruption sneak in like a thief at night? Did it slowly nibble on our national cake till it turned to dust? I wonder if the bug actually sneaked in or it's been here all along. From colonization, when men's conscience were allegedly bought with a mirror, to military regime when human lives were less valuable than a bullet and its terror, and finally, to what is now aptly described as democracy. These demons and governments have gone crazy. They sink their filthy claws into Nigeria's bowels till it starts bleeding, and thrust their fangs into the nation's neck till it stops breathing. Then they gather themselves like starved vultures round its lifeless flesh to devour. Alekiaye, my Hausa brothers will say. But the people deserve their leaders. And this saying is particularly true in Nigeria. The people who mortgage their future for immediate gains, ranging from recharge cards to even plates of rice grains. Permit my French, these folks don't give a flying frog. If it pours when it rains, they will put their own lives on the line for anybody who can make it rain. But then, when their seed of corruption is ready for harvest, they begin to groan in pain. But should we blame them alone for this insanity? What weapon do they have to fight against poverty? How can a country be so rich, yet its citizens live in abject poverty? The very resources that should be a blessing have become a malady. Is this the Nigeria my teacher talked about, or is this a parody? One nation bound in freedom, peace, fairness, justice, and unity. Share you the wine, meaning. Now, poor man be criminal, rich man get immunity. The end of the tunnel is dark, bro. Light no kuku my first day, the community. The leaders are jokers performing in a never-ending night of circus and dark comedy. But I'm tired and sick of how this show is going. I need a doctor, get me a remedy. Despite the challenges, there's still a hope. Hear me out and don't hang on with that rope. I'm not talking about the go better type of hope. That one has scope. Oddly reminds me of this Yoruba saying, Yobale, labalaba fin wagbo. You go land, na so butterfly take enter bush, you go better. Na so Chukwu Ebuka take enter one chance for Naija. The hope, therefore, that I speak of is not in the country as it were. The hope is on the people. Those who won't let their backgrounds keep their backs to the ground. Those who won't let the society define who they are or what they could be. Those who won't let the world label them with stereotypic tags. Those who have carved their names in the silverware of time with sweat and blood. Those who are making waves locally and globally with honest work and individually reminding the world that we are unbreakable. Those who have fought like gallant soldiers through difficult times and emerged victorious. Those who are still fighting and are not considering to throw in the towel. The sound of them marching against the wind of adversity is the sound of hope that I hear from a distance. And from these ruins of a failed nation, its citizens are rising. From the ashes of a crushed country, its people are emerging. It is the resurrection, the emancipation from the claws of corruption and self-destruction. Great Nigerians have risen from the dust of despair to show the world who we truly are. Resilient, industrious, creative, hardworking, honest, innovative, the list goes on. Time will not permit me to mention the names of great Nigerians flying our blood-stained flag all around the world. These are the heroes of today whose labor will never be in vain. And in case you did not notice, I'm talking about you and me. We're all that is left. We're all that we have, and with God on our side, we are enough.